OG Culture presents KemPtah, the black decimal system, counting KemPtah, the synergy of zeros and ones as the new divine binary system. When we count KemPtah, we count on the origin, the black, which is zero. Zero is the first number, not one. Hence, zero is the black one, unseen one. That number that be the background for all other numbers. The number one is the apparent one at the same time as the unseen two, the black number two, and so on and so forth. Hence the Eurocentric counting system is contradictory and inconsistent, because 10 marks the beginning on a higher level, so it isn't the last number, but the black one to an additional set of things that is about to be counted. Number 9 is the highest number in the decimal system based on the 10 numbers. 0 counts as one of the 10 numbers. We are 9 ether people. Hence, mathematically, we know that 9 is the real 10th digit and not 10. The contradictions of European decimal systems are more apparent as numbers grow. Let's take 19 and 20 for instance. 20 isn't a part of 19. What about 30? 30 isn't the last number of the 20s. Well, why is 10 the last of the single digit if it itself isn't a single digit at all? It's inconsistent. White supremacy count. This counting affects our brains as we immerse in capitalism and competition. Everyone wants to be a number 1 instead of original being, which where the X and Y axis meet. The black number 1, which is 0, being 0 means you can 0 in and 0 out. Realize choices. Once the eye of Heru is open, in synergy, the calculation flows like a river. Different things and energies are flowing to and from different poles all at the same time. 0 equal 1, or the mathematical eye of Heru can't help but to activate the inner blackness of mathematics. The essential phenomenon spreads over and gives life. Yeah, that's just a piece I want to talk about. The eye of Heru is 0 and 1, since 1 is the black 2, 2 is the black 3, 3 is the black 4, it goes on all the way to 9, 9 is the black 10. You know what I'm saying, representing the 10th digit without any inconsistency, you know what I'm saying. That's one of the things. So, being the 10th number, number 9, it becomes the black number 10. You know what I'm saying? It don't look like 10, but it is the 10th number. You know what I'm saying? But it becomes less apparent because the 0 isn't counted as the first number in Eurocentric systems, or they take it as a trivial number. Sometimes they put it in the middle because they need, for instance, to make a negative side of the decimal system, of the counting system. So. And that's what they use it for very trivial things. That's one of the things they do. The law of identity, what happened is the law of identity breaks 0 from 1. There's no synergy between 0 and 1. So the transformation of 0 and 1 through -1 on the top and +1 on the bottom, what happened is the process has stopped. So certain calculations cannot be calibrated. It cannot continue its own concrete existence. That's why when they apply mathematics and try to make computer models, or computers that model the problem in the first place, it is the problem in the first place, they come out with errors. But they say these errors are the characteristics of the system or the nature or the environment they try to study. They use the broken eye of Heru as if it isn't broken. That's like a person breaks a cup or a jar and use the pieces of the jar to still sip water or sip juice. You know, people need the holistic thing. We need the quality, and the quality only synergizes with the quantity. That's the closest opposites it has. You know what I'm saying? Everything else is, when it circulates, when it flips KemPtah, the law of quantity and quality takes on different shapes, just like any other thing. And in mathematics, the law of quality and quantity is this as 0 synergizing with 1. That's the mathematical law of quality and quantity synergizing. It also models construction, destruction, and it also models the general tetrahedral formula. It is the tetrahedral formula of KemPtah, to the most specific and to the most general. So it's like the tightest possible mathematical representation of synergizing the simple with the complex, the partial with the whole, the basic. No, I already said that. The basic with the up with down, the specific with the general, the absolute with the relative. Yeah. One thing I want to go into too is what is the significance of 0 and 1? 0 and 1 is actually in Eurocentric logic, in the white race's reckoning, time wasting reckoning, whatever you want to call it, the law of identity crisis zeroes in on the isolation of entities. It zeroes in on fractured minds. The stench of their methods seek to go into the cracks of their victims. When healing the eye of Hero, healing, it means you trying to figure out how can 0 and 1 equal to each other. How can they equate? And they equate by mayat, by being balanced. To balance out the equal sign, one must think outside the box, though. You know, because once you think just like them, you ain't gonna never solve it. The best thing you might do is change both sides to 0, which is a type of mathematical brutality. The mathematical brutality is something of a band-aid for us, not to solve the problem. To solve the problem is to complete it. And what makes the problem a problem is because it's incomplete. It's not synergizing with its opposite. The opposite of the problem is a solution. And obviously, the binary formula of Eurocentrics is incomplete throughout, all over. Because once you could solve the contradiction, what happened is you change the very nature of their whole entire root. Their root becomes something other than a root. It becomes a leaf. It becomes exposed as a leaf that's about to fall off. Recession, what was thought of as a powerful progression in mathematics, become just a regression, a weak lesson. So what I did, I connected dots, because I know the equal sign in itself must synergize. If it represents synergy of sides, no matter if we talk about this black wall and that black wall, you're still talking about two different walls. The law of identity crisis in itself is a contradiction, because in order for you to measure two of the same thing, they must be in the same place at the same time. And if they're in the same place at the same time, how can you measure those two entities? How can you do it if it's just one entity? If you split it apart or cause brutality, which, you know, in a mathematical analogy, you divide both numbers by 0. So That's like splitting a person or entity in half and just measuring different pieces of the same entity. You destroyed the object that you thought you was investigating. The object no longer exists. It transformed into something else. Now the problem, the nature of the problem, it has a different face, a different form. The nature of the problem is synergizing with the solution. The solution of opposites is synergy. Their interreaction to one another, their intertransformation. They go by it through the equal sign as apparent. But when you have two different numbers, how can two different numbers be equal unless it is mediated actively by the equal sign, by putting numbers of the same quantity but different vectors on the appropriate spots above and below the equal sign. I think that's the best representation of that for now. It's complete. And the new binary system is really a tetrahedral system. You know what I'm saying? Under the microscope, when you start seeing the details and you start seeing the various processes that's going on within the same entity, you notice it's a little bit more complex than what it appears to be at first. And the thing is, the KemPtah formula of putting -1 on the top and +1 on the bottom represents the two dots in the yin-yang teardrop. It represents that. So when you see a yin and yang, it's not just the yin and the yang. It's something else too. It's something. It's even opposites, and even in the synergy of sides. So it's 4. And these synergy of sides relates the formula of its surface to its inner. You know, it makes the formula divine instead of just a shell to contain anything promiscuously. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not open for everything, the KemPtah formula. But the regular European formula is open for anything, any interpretation, no focus. You know what I'm saying? And that's why they teaching us that. They want us to have it, their regressive reckoning system. They want us to think like them, even though they already solidified their power. So it's almost like we just running into the wall, because the wall is already erected, it's already built. So thinking like them only just add power to them. So that's why I'm putting this out. We got to get that white man's math out our mind, for real. That's real talk right there. That's one of the things I understand about the KemPtah fabric. The thing about that is one formula could become complex, a very complex entity. Even a complex KemPtah formula could be a single formula, you know, and it just transforms. It's so organic, it's so beautiful, because each number, the synergy, allows opposites to have sensitivity and flexibility, which when these two entities, not entities but qualities called sensitivity and flexibility, unite as blackness, it becomes coordination. So the KemPtah formula represents coordination as well. The best coordination don't look like coordination at all though. So you know, you can still throw numbers anywhere on the fabric, and what will happen is it will adjust itself. It will coordinate itself to assimilate that quantity that was dropped in it. So it have to coordinate itself. It have to construct itself. It have to be elastic. It have to restrain certain functions. It can't be too loose, but it can't be too tight. It have to be mayat. It have to be black. formula of KemPtah also represents all other formulas. It takes on different forms. Since we already know the essence, the details of the laws of mathematics, we can now go into other forms that may not look like that, but hide certain qualities, because we already know our formula does the same thing in itself before any other. We know that we could rearrange the link-up formula, and certain things in synergy disappears, or it seems like it disappeared. It seemed like it vanished, but it didn't. What happened is the power of that synergy was distributed, it was communicated to, and it was already in association with all other synergy. So therefore, it takes on a different form, the unseen form, which is conserved by the seen form. So that's what happens generally when you go from KemPtah formulas to all other formulas. You see certain things conserved, and you see certain things are not conserved. You see certain things that's seen, and you see certain things that's not seen. So, but you could tell the way the formula, the seen parts move, and how they coordinate with each other. You could really see how the unseen just mirrors that. They both mirror each other because they was always in synergy of sides. They was always coordinating with each other because they had sensitivity and flexibility among each other. They have a kind of mathematical black love, you know, synergizing with each other, transforming into each other, becoming one in the other on various levels.